Welcome to the Sports Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Marcos Baghdatis, and excited to have Mr. Patrick Mouratoglou on the phone with me here today from his office and academy in Nice, France. Just fresh off the French Open here. Welcome to the podcast, Patrick.
Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah, excited, and I know we have a tight schedule here because right after this interview you'll be on court with Serena, getting ready, I guess, for some Wimbledon action here, which is of course the complete opposite of what you just been training there for the French Open. But let me just give a quick intro on yourself for folks who might not know who you are. Your nickname is the Coach, and that I think says it all already, which is obviously a great name, and that's is really for your experience in coaching and having been involved now with some of the top players in the world for decades, and building your own academy. Of course, Serena is, I guess, the blue chip, which everyone would be familiar with, would have seen you on the sidelines sitting there over the last almost 10 years now, I think since 2012, winning almost 10 Grand Slams, winning 10 Grand Slams together as a team. I believe there was a gold medal there as well at the Olympics. Of course, you're also currently coaching Stefano Tsitsipas, who just lost the final in France, of course. And you have one of the hottest stars for the future here with Coco Gauff, potentially seen as the future Serena Williams here, and many other players in between, where we'll touch on a little bit. We'll touch on your academy in Nice, where you are now, and then we will finish up a bit with the UTS, the Ultimate Tennis Showdown, which is a new format you've created. And as a tennis player and a tennis fan, extremely excited over what you're doing there. So let's jump right in there. And you mentioned you had some interesting stories in history of how you really got into this, and I'd love to hear that. So please take it away, Patrick.
Thank you very much for that nice presentation, Marcus. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm always happy to share what I've gone through, because when I was young, I had a really tough life, not in terms of conditions, but the way I was feeling inside was very difficult, and I had everything on the paper to have the worst possible life. Wow! So that's why it's interesting, and that explains first why I created this tennis academy, and I've been doing what I've been doing now for more than 25 years. Yeah. But it also says that anything can be achieved in life. It's just up to each of us to make the life we want. Correct. Because again, when I was young, it was a disaster. So just to say a few words about it.
Yeah, please, just share. What happened?
Nothing special happened, but I was extremely shy. I was completely unable to connect to anybody. So I was alone most of the time. I was scared. I was sick. I had panic attacks every night. My mom.
Wow.
Spent all my childhood sitting on a chair in front of my bed during the whole night because I couldn't sleep. I was completely panicking. I was seeing monsters. I was seeing insects everywhere, things I couldn't control. I was always sick, and I was just looking at myself in the mirror every day, saying that I was so bad.
Wow. Where did you grow up? You were growing up which in France, I believe, right? Or where are you right now during that time?
I'm from Paris, so I was living in the suburbs of Paris. And I have absolutely no self-confidence, again, completely unable to connect to anybody. And I was literally panicking with the idea that anyone would speak to me and I wouldn't know what to answer. Wow. I had the worst opinion about myself. That's the first reason why I was feeling that way in every situation. So not a great start. And all my childhood has been a pain, literally a pain. On every aspect. So I was also bad at school, even though I was trying. I mean, at some point I stopped trying, but I was terrible at school. So everything was just negative, and everything was a suffer. Right. Which was, in a way, all those problems that I have were just feeding this idea that I was worth nothing. Right. And this lasted so many years, and I kind of broke that negative circle, first with winning the fight against my body, because I was extremely sick. I was so sensitive that whatever was happening, everything was hurting me really badly. So, and I will always say that it's all about how you feel. You know, it's not about what happens to you; it's about how you feel about what happens to you.
Right. Yes.
So I was getting sick. I was throwing up whenever I had stress. And at 11 years old, I decided that would stop. And from that day, I never threw up again.
Right.
I realized that I had some power, some my body in a way, and then beating my body with this, I could beat my body, stopping also the panic attacks at night. And don't ask me how I did it. I have no idea, but I did it.
Yeah, and this is really early. I was just going to ask you, what is the age we're talking about here? So you're really you're 10, 11 years old, and all this pain you were talking about was in your teens basically, right?
Yes, exactly. So from my birth to, let's say, 11, 12, my life was a disaster. And it was more 12 years old, by the way, because my parents changed my school when I was 11. I went to a new school where I didn't know anybody, and the stress was so high that I remember throwing up 8 times during the night. And the 9th time was literally in the classroom when I entered, which was a great start to make friends, by the way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Welcome present.
Yeah.
Exactly. So after that, I could beat my body, and that was a little victory. I mean, not little for me; it was a huge victory, but it was the first one. And I always say, and all these things were great life lessons for me in my coaching afterwards, because I realized that when you win a little battle, it gives you the courage to go for another one.
Correct.
And this in my coaching is very important. And I always say that we are all the product of all our experiences in life. Mm-hmm. And as a coach, I want my players to win every day. When I say win, it doesn't have it doesn't have to be winning a match, because you don't have a match every day, but little victories. Right. Even being able to achieve something at practice that you usually can do, and have the feeling after every single day that you've made progresses, you're better. Yeah. It's a kind of win. It's a victory in a way.
It's that little 1% a day improvement. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. So again, this was one thing. So now to understand why I tell you that and why it's linked with tennis. I was playing tennis all those years. So I started when I was 4, fell in love with tennis immediately. And from that day, was playing every Saturday, every Sunday, like literally 8 hours, staying on the court. Guys were playing, they were done, they were leaving, and I was staying on the court. And then the second guy was coming, and then the third one. I couldn't leave the court. The court was the only place on the planet where I was feeling confident, safe and confident. Yeah,
got it.
So that was my place, and all I was thinking of was tennis all day long. Then the federation thought I was not too bad, so they gave me some extra practice every week. And for me, that would be my life. I would become a professional player, and there was no doubt about it. And then when I was 15, I asked my parents if I could go to a school where I could have some time to practice seriously, because I was going to a normal school and then practice in the evening, late after school, because I also had homework, and then I couldn't go to tournaments because this school wouldn't allow me to. So I wanted to go really seriously. And that was a turning point in my life, because my parents said no. They said that it was too risky, and that I had to go to a regular school. And then maybe one day, if I finish school and I finish all my studies, I could play tennis. But I explained that's not the way it works. But it didn't work. So I had to stop tennis.
Okay.
And that was the second turning point. That was not a positive one, but because from one day to another, my whole life was destroyed, because all my dreams, everything I could envision as my future, disappeared from one day to another, literally. So it's going to be then this event also was became something extremely important in my coaching in the future, and I'm going to explain that right after.
Yes.
But there was also a third moment, and the third moment I was 17, so it was a bit later. I decided that this shyness that was like so important, so big, this impossibility that I had to connect with people, I had to find a way. I went to my mom, I remember, and I said to her, Mom, what can I do? Because, you know, I am completely unable to have normal relationship with people and be social. And I think I am, but I can't. So what can I do? And she said, you can go see a psychologist. So I started a psychotherapy, which lasted 10 years.
Wow.
But that helped me tremendously go over this problem. And like, people can't believe that I was shy before.
Yes, I was going to say that. Looking at everything else now, it's like, wow, I can't believe the story you're telling here. Incredible.
Yeah, but this is, I think that's incredible life lessons. Like, literally everything's possible. Literally everything's possible.
Completely.
And then I have, so what's interesting, I think also, is that because I had this inability to connect, I developed a great ability to read people. Simply because I was young, I was in my classroom, and I could not talk to the people, to the other, my potential friends. So because I could not, I developed this ability, because everybody needs to have social relationship. Everyone, you can, otherwise we die. You know. Yes. So I was sitting in the classroom, and I was looking at people interacting with each other. And as I couldn't interact myself, I was trying to put myself in their shoes and trying to understand how they were feeling, just by looking at the interaction, looking at the physical signs they were having, because, you know, we all have a body language.
Yep.
I was trying to read also their language, because all the languages are different. Even if we both speak English, the words that I use have different meaning. If you use the same words as me, they don't have the exact same meaning for you and for me.
Yes. Yeah,
so I learned
really
to read that.
You're basically studying people already at that time, you know, in a sense.
Exactly. And I didn't try to. I was just trying to survive in an environment that was hostile for me. Yeah. And so it's interesting to see that a big weakness, because it was an incredible weakness, helped me develop another strength. Because we humans are able to adapt, because I think that's our number one quality, adaptation. And because, you know, I was unable to connect, so I developed the ability to read people. It's incredible. So I think that's very interesting.
Amazing.
The other thing is, as I said, so I stopped tennis when I was 15, and then I put my racket on the side, because I can't do anything halfway. I do it full or I don't do it.
Right.
I didn't know what to do in life. I had no idea, so I started to study. I studied music. I did a jazz school in the evening, and I was doing an economy school, so a school for economy, learning economy during the day. And but I was not interested, to be honest, in the business school. I was very interested in the music school, but I realized that some people were geniuses, and I was far from being one. So even though I loved music and I studied it, and it's really part of my life, I decided to stop, because I mean, I feel it was almost disrespectful to those people to be in the classroom with them, because they were. I mean, I get. I think I was good in tennis. I don't think I was good for music. Right. Not good enough at all. Right. So I stopped, and I didn't know what to do. And my father has succeeded in business. He has a big business. Right. And he said to me, okay, you don't know what to do in life. I mean, at least come learn a job. Right. So I said, okay. So I worked in his company for 6 years. I did everything possible, like started from the very bottom, which was very interesting, because I really learned what is a company made of. Yep. Go to 1 year in each service, in a way. Sure. And when I was 26, he told me that I was ready for a business, and he said, "Let's be business partners. You know, I'm gonna share everything with you, and we're gonna become business partners." His company was huge at that time, so for me it was the easy way, but it's not the way I chose, because I think we have one life and we have to make it something really special, and I wouldn't feel that it would be special if I would take that way.
Right.
So I remember telling him exactly that. I said to him, first of all, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity and for the trust you put in me now. But I'm lucky enough to have a passion, which is tennis. I also feel like my story with tennis is not over, even though I will not be a player anymore.
Right.
I'm 26 now. But I really feel like I want to give the chance to kids that have the passion for this sport to achieve something big. The chance that was not given when I was 16 or 15. Right. I want to give it to players, to young players.
Wow.
And also I feel like you, and I don't blame him at all, and I'm going to explain why after. You didn't believe in me as a player, so I know how precious that is to have someone who believes in you. So I will believe in those kids 100%, and I will do everything to make them live the life that they dream of, but they're prepared to do anything to achieve that. So right. I'm going to help them. Right. That will be my mission for the next maybe 20, 30 years. Who knows?
Love it.
And that's what I did.
Right.
And the last thing I want to say, because I speak too much, as you can hear it, the last thing I want to say that is important also, because I think it's a life lesson. I was very angry at my parents when they stopped tennis. They made me stop tennis. Right. I felt like, wow, they don't love me. They don't listen to me. Right. Why would they do that to me? Even though I intellectually understand that they want me to study because it's less risky. Yes. And it took me 10 years to get over it and to put it in perspective. And this is what I understood 10 years after. I understood that this meeting that I had with my parents when I was 15, that was a missed meeting in a way, because it didn't lead me to where I wanted to be, was 100% my mistake. Because you always have the chance to convince people, and it's always up to you. And I did not convince my parents that I was good enough, that it was not that risky, that I had a dream and that they couldn't kill my dream. I didn't find the words. I didn't find a way to understand their scare at that time, because they were also scared about my future. Of course. So in a way, I failed, and it's fine, because we all failed. We all fail. Yes. But it was unfair to blame them, and I think it was a great life lesson. And the life lesson is this one. First of all, if you don't convince people in life, your life can be completely different from what you dream. Yeah. And that's what happened to me. Yeah. Second, it's all in your hands, because you always have the chance to convince the people and again, do the things you want to do. It's all up to you. Yes. And I think that's great lessons. Amazing. And this is lessons that I kept for all the rest of my life, and that I'm using every day in my coaching. All the things that happened to me, and that's why I wanted to speak about it. Yes. All those things that happened to me, I'm using every day now in my coaching. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big believer in what you just shared in terms of the life lessons, and a lot of times people with the worst lessons, in a sense, or the most pain, are the most successful people at the end of it, right? Because they take that pain and turn it into something positive, and to some degree, that's, as a metaphor, is exactly what you did, right? That pain you had in your youth, from the first, let's say, physiological and psychological pain, and later on maybe the pain of your parents saying no to something you really wanted. You turn it into this incredible career that you've had. So, wow, I love this. This was, I have to admit, I think this was the best warm-up story we've ever had on the podcast. I really appreciate you sharing that so openly.
And Marcus, you just gave me a good lesson again, because you said in less than a minute what I just said in 15. So thank you very much.
That's my job. My job is to summarize it. But
good job.
Yeah, thank you. Now let's get a bit into the career then. Since you then started at the age of 26, 27 there, where we were earlier. So you started off with the academy. So how do you start an academy? Did you just rent some courts? You build it, or how do you start this? Let's go there, and then we'll go into, of course, the players and some of the other stuff here.
Well, I had no idea, to be honest. Right. I just knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how. Right. I was not a tennis coach, not at all at the time. I just was excited, and I think I'm deeply an entrepreneur. That's really what I am. Right. And when I look back, I really realized that. So I just thought, okay, I want to help kids play tennis and go to the top of the game. How do I do that? I have no idea. Okay, let's find a coach.
Right.
So I went to clubs and I discussed with coaches, and I found one that looked good to me. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, let's do a business together. The guy said, okay, no problem. So I said, I'll take care of the business. You take care of the courts.
All right. Okay.
And I rented 2 courts. I had no money. So I went to the club and I said, listen, I'm looking at your courts, and during the day, I see they're empty. They're full during the evening after the people are done with their job, but during the day it's empty. Right. So I give you 15. It was 15 francs at that time, which is the equivalent of, let's say, 3 euros. Right. I give you 3 euros for an hour. The guy said, what? It's nothing. I said, no, it's not nothing. It's 3 euros. At the moment, you have nothing because it's empty. So you get 3 euros an hour rather than 0. Yeah. And it doesn't cost you anything. The guy said, okay, then. And I started to rent those 2 courts. And I didn't have any players, so I wrote on paper. I printed stuff like advertising, and I went on the cars, and I was putting it on the cars in the rich areas around. People were calling, and I was doing the business side. And after 1 year, I had like 40 players, but not good players. 40 people who were happy to during the day have extra hours of coaching with a coach. I was in a way the PR of this coach. That's what I was doing.
Correct. Yeah, you're the manager.
Exactly.
Correct. Wow.
So I did this for 2 years, and after 2 years, I knew more about the job, and I thought, okay, if I really want to do what I envision, I need to be able to have good young players, like players who have potential, because those guys that I'm working with, they're 30 years old and they're
just having some fun.
Exactly. And I thought, for that, I need a name, because why would they come with me? They don't know me. The coach that I hired is nobody. Yeah. He's not famous. Yeah. But if I want to do something with players who have potential, like really big potential, I have to have a really good coach. So I looked through the coaches, and I thought, because I always think big, okay, who's the best coach in the world? And at that time, I thought it was Bob Brett, because he had he brought Becker to number 1 in the world, Ivanisevic to number 2 in the world. It was a big name, probably the biggest at the time. Right. So I thought, okay, I need Bob Brett then. Right. How do I get Bob Brett? I had no idea. So I went to tennis shops, and I found an Australian guy who was working in a tennis shop, and Bob Brett was Australian. So I said to him, oh, do you know Bob Brett? He said, no, I don't know Bob Brett. Okay, no problem. What I propose to you, I find a ticket for you to go to Roland Garros, and once you are inside Roland Garros, find a way to talk to him and tell him I want to see him. And the guy did the job, and I had an appointment with Bob Brett. I remember in his hotel in Paris, because it was during Roland Garros. Right. And I met him in the lobby. We sat down, and after 1 hour, he shook. Remember, I told you earlier, next time I would not miss my meeting, and I will be convincing. So after 1 hour, he shook my hand and he said, "I'm with you 100%."
Wow.
Bob Brett Academy just was born on that day.
Okay, so it was the Bob Brett Academy at the beginning.
Yeah.
Amazing.
6 years was Bob Brett Tennis Academy. So we started like that. So I told him I had a tennis center. I told him I had players. I had no tennis player, no center, but it was not a lie, because I knew I would. By the way, he would come back. In your mind,
you had it.
Wimbledon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You had it there.
No, but literally, he said to me, okay, I go to Wimbledon. When I come back from Wimbledon, we sign, and we start in September. So I knew I had 2 months. Right. And even though I had nothing, I knew that 2 months after I would have everything. So it was just an anticipation. It was not a lie. Right. And that's what happened. 2 months after, when he came, I had everything. Right. I spent the whole summer finding a place, going to tournaments to find young players, telling them, okay, listen, guy, I have Bob Brett with me, and he's going to coach. He's going to overlook your coaching. Wow. Wow. And and then I created the group, my first group of players that I scouted, because that's what I did. I went to tournaments and scouted guys, and I had Paul-Henri Mathieu, Marcos Baghdatis, Gilles Muller, Ivo Karlovic, Sergei Stakhovsky, then Mario Ancic, Hisham Arazi. That was my first group. I had only 20 players, and then Pauline Parmentier. Almost all of them finished in the top 100. That was incredible.
Amazing. The first academy was where? Which was it, in Paris or in Nice already, or where was it? The first one.
It was in the suburbs of Paris, actually, in a difficult area where we had we all had a lot of trouble there.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I understand. Right. So 6 years of Bob Brett Academy. Then how do we get to the next part of your amazing career here? How do you get then to being the coach yourself? Because still right now you're still managing, right? In a sense, you're managing for someone else. So how do you get actually on the court yourself and end up with the Serenas of the world? How does that turn? How does that happen?
You're totally right. During those 6 years, I'm managing the academy. I'm not coaching, but I was lucky because I had a great relationship with Bob, and he was so proud of showing me how he was coaching that every time, I was literally in a suit, and he was calling me and said, "Come on the court, I want to show you something." So I was coming to the court with my suit, right. And he was showing me how he changed that forehand of this guy, right. Made him work on something like every day. So in a way, I had a master class from Bob Brett every single day. Yes. Of course, he was not there full time. Yeah. I had a deal with him where he was coming only 50 days a year, right. 50, where he was like 8 hours, 9 hours on the court, sharing everything with me. But the rest of the time, I was running the academy. Right. My job was really the business side and the PR of Bob in a way. Yeah. So I was running it. Bob was a perfect ambassador for the academy, and he was when he was here, he was like really inspiring for everyone. So that was 6 years unbelievable. The problem is, after 6 years, he decided to leave, right, and to do his own tennis academy. Right. And then I realized that I just did the worst investment of my life. But that's how you learn, by making mistakes. Why worse? Because I made Bob a great name. He was a big name. He was a great name. Yeah. But I made it a great name also for tennis academies. Right. Because this academy, we had such great results with I had 2 world champions, and it was the players that I scouted, and I was not coaching, but I was on the court. I was not on the court. I was the boss of all the coaches, and I was giving direction and stuff like that, of course, with Bob. But and then suddenly my brand that I invested in for 6 years disappears from one day to another, and I have to start over from scratch. Right. That was a shock. And I was really disappointed at the time. I was really prepared to give up, which I shouldn't say because I look like a loser saying that. But,
I know the feeling. Yeah.
Terrible. And what gave me the strength to continue was that, none of the players decided to follow Bob Brett, but. Right. All of them came to me and said, we know you, we trust you, we stay with you. Right. And this gave me so much energy and so much energy. Yeah, confidence to continue. So that was a turning point. So then I thought, okay, what do I do? Because I can't keep the Bob Brett brand. So I decided to put my name because I wouldn't start the same mistake again, taking the name of another famous coach, because I knew from that moment that this could happen. And I put my name. But then I was not a tennis coach. And I thought, wow, if I put my name, I have to be a tennis coach. Right. So I remember having all my team around me and telling the guys, okay, with what happened, I'm going to name the academy Mouratoglou Academy. But I'm not a coach, and I think it doesn't look good. So I have to become a coach, and I have to become a great coach, because now the future of the academy and the future of being a coach, that we're completely linked. And I remember my teams telling me, yeah, but you don't know anything about coaching. What are you talking about? You never gave a tennis lesson in your life. And I was like 34 years old. Yeah. And I answered, listen, I don't know anything, you're right, but I learned fast. Right. And that's what I said, I remember. So I started with a 10 years old guy the day after, as a coach, plus running the academy, of course, also. And it took me 10 years to win my first Grand Slam as a coach.
That's not bad. Many other people have never won a Grand Slam. Doing it in 10 years, it sounds, as long as it sounds like, of course, it's incredible. So let's just, unpack that 10 years a bit. Let's just spend a couple of minutes there going from having the first, kid there, it was 10 years old on there, where you coaching now, to winning your first Grand Slam. Just let's spend the 10 minutes there to really get this before we go into some of the other stuff here.
Yeah, so I started with this young guy that actually I'm still in touch with. Right. A few years after, I was 34, I'm 51, so it was 17 years ago.
Yes.
He's like my son, this guy, so right. I'm proud of him. His name is Sébastien Lavie. He's from New Zealand, and he lives in New Zealand, and he started an academy, by the way, that is doing amazing in New Zealand, so I'm so proud of him. Right. So I started with him, and then Marcos Baghdatis, that I knew very well because I scouted him when he was 13 and a half and brought him to my academy. Right. Got older, became world champion in juniors, and asked me if I could coach him. Right. So I did. And
okay, so that got you a bit on the next level there.
Yeah, totally, because Marcos reached a Grand Slam final. Right. 2 years after, but he was an incredible player. I remember. I mean, I get lessons from everyone. And I think that's also an important idea, because there are so many lessons you can get if you open your eyes, if you open your ears, and if you accept the idea that you didn't do well, which is something that is difficult for people. But if you're able to look at yourself and tell yourself, okay, I did terrible, or I failed there, yes. And if it doesn't hurt you, then you learn so much.
Absolutely. And
I remember Marcos when he was. Maybe 2019, he played $125,000. So it's a challenger, but it's a big challenger. He was in the qualies. He was 300 in the world, and he qualified and reached the final, which was an incredible achievement for a guy who ranked 300, because right. the draw was extremely strong. And in the final, he plays Dominic Herbati. I'm sure you remember this guy. Mm-hmm. Dominic was 14 in the world. Okay. 1-4, and Marcos was 300, and the match starts, and Marcos is down 4-1, and I remember thinking at that time, wow, Herbati's forehand is better, backhand better, serve better, he moves better. Marcos has zero chance, right. And Marcos is down 1-4, and I remember thinking that, and that's terrible. As a coach, you cannot think like that. You can't. Right. Especially that
if the player notices it.
Right. Oh, this is even worse. But they all notice. You have to realize that players have a sixth sense. Yeah. They know you so well, and they're very sensitive, so they get everything. Even when you try not to show them, they get it. Yeah. So, and Marcos ended up winning the match.
Right. Okay.
And don't ask me how. Oh. I have no idea.
Right. Okay.
But great players find a way to win when others don't, and that's one of their characteristics.
Absolutely.
And after the match, I thought, this was so bad coaching from me. Like, I didn't believe in my player, and he won.
Right.
This is unacceptable. This is like unprofessional.
Yeah.
So I realized that, first of all, even if you don't look as good as the other guy, there is always a chance to win. And as a player, you have to look for ways to win, and as a coach, you also have to look at ways to help your player win, and you have to believe in your player 100% in every situation. So that was a good life lesson for me.
Yeah, love that. And what I remember of Marcos, that he is one of those players who I would say his skill level and talent level was off the chart, but he never looked like a pro player. Right? Is that a good description?
That's true. Yeah, he was very cool.
Yeah, he was super relaxed. Exactly. It was like he was just out there having fun, right? And that came across in the way he played. I do remember those years. Now, obviously,
the truth is, he never wanted to be a tennis player. He always dreamt about being a soccer player. Okay. And his parents pushed him to play tennis, and that's in a way why he was so relaxed about tennis. But that was not his passion.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting stories. Now, we have to, of course, and I know we got to watch our time a bit, but also, going a bit from Marcos, there's many other players you then obviously coached in between there, but we can't have a conversation and not talk about Serena Williams at least a little bit here. Never mind that you'll see her in the next half an hour. So how do you go from all those folks and all of a sudden Serena Williams goes, hey, Patrick, come coach me. What I remember reading was that she also was a bit in a bad spell. I think she hadn't won a Grand Slam for a while. And I think she maybe, at least this is what I read, it sounded like she came and said, look, at least help me win one more. And then I think you guys won 10 more. But is that somewhat true or what's the real story here?
Yeah, that's true. So you're right. We don't have time anyway to go through all the players. I just want to mention Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova because she just played the final of Roland Garros.
Yes, correct.
And I worked with her for 2.5 years when she was 16 years old as a coach. So I was coaching her on a daily basis. So I have a very, very strong relationship with her. Yeah. She's amazing, and we had the best time because she was also at a very difficult time. And I love when players call me when they are struggling because there is always a great challenge there. Sure. And she was struggling big time, and we turned it into an incredible positive thing. And I just want to say one thing about her because she was only 16 and she was amazing because I remember how much in a difficult situation she was at that time. And everybody around was so stressed, like the parents were stressed, everybody was stressed because she was struggling really. After being great in juniors, because she was world champion in juniors, and then when she started to play pros, she wasn't able to win. And she was like 300 in the world, and she was struggling to win a challenger when we started. And for 1 year, we struggled big time. And I remember her, and that's what I want to say, her telling me, Patrick, I mean, she was only 16. Patrick, you're doing an unbelievable job. If I'm not winning, it's just me, because I have a problem mentally. I have a real problem. So like she was 100% blaming herself. Yeah, to keep me motivated, because that was that was incredible. I mean, I've never seen something like that. Yes. And 1 year after, she started to play really good, and in 1 year she went from 300 to 27 in the world. Which was a big achievement. So this is the thing that I will remember all my life about her, because I think she's really special, being able to take the blame like that, which was not true, because it was also my job to make her win, and I was unable to at that time, and it ended up really great. So that's the only thing. So now about Serena, huh? Do you want me to talk about her?
Absolutely. I think, why not? A little.
So let's do it. Yeah. So as you mentioned it was she was going through a tough moment. Even the greatest champions have some tough moments in their careers. She had a blood clot. She first had an injury, then a blood clot, and then when she was trying to come back, she struggled for 2 years. She didn't win a Grand Slam for 2 years. And she just lost in the first round of Roland Garros, and it was the first time in her career, that she was losing in the first round of a Grand Slam. So she got really hurt at that time, and decided to stay in to prepare for Wimbledon, and called me because she knew I had a tennis academy in Paris, and called me, and went to my tennis academy. At that time, I was coaching Grigor Dimitrov. Who was friend with her, and actually he brought her he told her, I'm there with this guy. You can, if you look for a place, you can come to his place. But Grigor was not, I don't remember where he was at the time, but he wasn't around. So I was, so when Serena arrived at the academy, I came to the court. I was not on the court, I was next to the court, but I was making sure that everything was fine for her. She asked me for 2 hitting partners. So she was doing 2-on-1s and played for 45 minutes in a row. And when she stopped her 45 minutes practice and sat down to drink, she suddenly turned to me. I was just out of the court, but I was close to her. She turned to me, she looked at me, and she said, "Talk to me."
Okay.
Like out of the blue, like that. So I immediately told to myself, well, that's another of the big meetings you're going to have in your life. So you'd better be good and convincing. Once again, it comes back to the same thing again.
Yes.
I have a few minutes and I have to be convincing. So I just told her, I guess she wanted to know about her tennis because she just played for 45 minutes in front of my eyes. Right. So I said, listen, Serena, I watch your matches, and especially the one you lost in Roland Garros. Now I watch your practice, and I see the exact same mistakes that you're doing in your matches in your practice.
Wow.
And I explained to her the mistakes that I was seeing. So I said, you have to fix that. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful in the next days and weeks because this is wrong.
Right.
And then she told me, okay, do you want to work on it? I said, sure. So I went on the court and I started to work with her on the things that I wanted to fix.
Right.
And we did fix them so that was the first practice. And then she said, okay, I want to continue to do that tomorrow. I said, okay. So we ended up working for 3 days in a row, making big progresses.
Amazing.
And she said to me, I really like it. I really love the work we're doing. So I was supposed to leave after 3 days, but can I stay for more days and continue the work? So she ended up staying for, I think, 7 days. And then I had to leave because I was joining Grigor Dimitrov at his tournament that he was playing. Right. And she went back to the US. And then when she arrived in Wimbledon 1 week after, and I arrived first. And then when she arrived, she called me and she said, okay, I'm in Wimbledon. I need to see you. So I said, if you want, let's meet tomorrow. She said, no, we don't meet tomorrow. We meet today. Okay. So we met in a cafe. And then she said to me, first she said, okay, what do you think about my game? And what do you see I should do? So again, a very important meeting where I told her that this famous quote that she was an underachiever to me, which I believed at that time. So I said, considering your standards, you're losing too many matches. And, losing these matches, first of all, you shouldn't. And second of all, it takes confidence away from you. And if you turn those matches into victories at the end of the year, it's going to be a completely different Serena. So I think, a few rules we should respect. You should respect. It's like, I don't go to tournaments if I'm not 100% ready to win it. That's number one rule. I explained to her how to prepare, what she should do to my point of view, etc., etc. And she said, oh, that's great. I love it. Right. She could feel that I was believing in her, like, 1,000,000%. You tell me, yeah, but it's easy to believe in Serena. Probably. Probably. But still, she liked my energy and the probably also. And she could feel how much I believed in her, probably. Yeah. So she told me, okay, there is Wimbledon coming up now. I really would like you to do this tournament with me and see how it feels.
Yeah.
So I told her, listen, I'm working with Grigor Dimitrov, so I feel that I can't do that unless he tells me that I can. So I'm going to go back to him and ask him. If he says yes, I'll do it. If he says no, I won't be able to do it. And Grigor said yes. He said, yeah, of course. If you promise me that it doesn't change anything for me, then you're good to go. Right. Let's do both players. Amazing. And that's how it started. And then Serena won Wimbledon in singles.
She won Wimbledon that year already, is it?
Singles, doubles, both. She won both. Then 3 weeks after was the Olympics. She won gold medal in singles and doubles.
Wow.
Then 1 month after was the US Open, and then she won the US Open. And at the end of the year, she won the WTA Championship, so the Masters.
This is 2012, right? I guess we're talking about
2012, absolutely. Right. And then 2 months after, she became number one in the world again, which she was not for many, many years. And she stayed at the number one spot for 3.5 years in a row. Wow. Winning 10 Grand Slams. Awesome. And literally when we started, she was 30 years old, and not winning a Grand Slam for 2 years. And she thought it was like getting close to the end for her. And she wanted to potentially stop on a victory. So that's the reason why she asked me to help her regain win a Grand Slam again. But then she started to play well.
10 Grand Slams later. And if we had more time, I would love to dig more around there, but we don't. So we'll probably leave the Serena Williams part for another day there, because I'm sure there's a whole lot more to unpack over those 10 Grand Slams which then followed. But I love this start already. Incredible. But Patrick, I'd love to take you a little bit now into two last pieces here. So first of all, obviously from your sort of small academy there in Paris, where it all started, now you've obviously run several academies, right? And I guess the big one is where you are now in the south of France, in Nice, beautiful place. Let's talk a little bit quickly there, and then let's hopefully we'll have another few minutes to wrap up and talk about UTS, which is it's really so exciting what you're doing there.
Okay, so I guess I started with the academy. So the academy, at the same time as I was coaching, I was running my academy. And the academy grew bigger because more and more players wanted to join us. I think the success of the players, of course, was the main reason why a lot of players wanted to come. Right. We had, I mean, throughout the years, an incredible amount of great results. Mario Ancic reached the top 10. Marcos Baghdatis, finalist of a Grand Slam. Paul-Henri Mathieu. Hicham Arazi played the final of Monte Carlo and quarters in Roland Garros. And there was this energy, and it was growing and growing. And of course, after with Serena, it went to another level. My passion is tennis, and again, what I love is to help young people achieve their dreams, and that's why I always say that I have the best job on the planet. Yeah. There is nothing nicer and more beautiful than that. And I wanted my academy to be the place for the people who love tennis, whoever they are, whatever age, whatever level.
And you obviously have some. It's not just in France, right? You have one in Greece and Dubai, right? So you've already now branched around the world, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, the two others are called tennis centers. It's not tennis academies, and it's quite different because the goal there is more to provide great tennis experience for the clients of the hotels, because we are based in some of the best resorts on the planet. Okay. The Jumeirah Hotel, which is probably the best resort in Dubai, and the Costa Navarino, who is probably the best resort in Europe. Unbelievable resort. Right. So that, and we have tennis centers there where we provide a great tennis experience to the clients who come on holidays. So that's what we're doing. It's not exactly the same.
Different thing. Sure. Got it.
So my tennis academy, what I love there is that we help young people achieve their goals in tennis, but also have a great education. And I want to spend a few seconds or minutes on that because that's something that is special. We are also running the school program for now 15 years. Okay. And I'm as proud of that as I'm proud of the tennis, because we have such great teachers. We have such great results because 100% of the players are succeeding in the education. Right. We send all of them to the best universities, whether it's in the US or in France or in the UK, with scholarships. And I'm proud of it because, as I said, I was struggling at school and I dreamt about making a school that I would have loved when I was a kid. And what I did, yes, exactly. But I built it more with a spirit than anything else. What I love in our school is that we are close to the students. We are close to them. We're not like giving lessons. We are close to them. We are exchanging with them. We always make sure that everything we're talking about, the concepts, are put in the real world, so people, as the students, understand how they're going to use those concepts in their daily life or in their job. So it's much more. It feels real. It doesn't feel like concepts that are not useful, which I felt when I was at school. Right. And I think it's amazing. So I'm proud of that. And I always I advertise for the school tennis and school program, or sports and school program, because I think it's the best possible education. Right. Not only the spirit, but also the body. And I think what is great also is doing sports at a good level at the same time as school, is that the concepts of values is not only concepts. You experience and you embody those values because you have to, because of the sports. Yes. You experience pressure every day when you do sports. And then you have to embody resilience, hard work, fight on a daily basis, because you have no other option. And so when you're 18 years old, you have so much more life experience, and those values are not theory; they're really practical. You've lived them, so I think you are so much more ready for life than if you didn't do that double school and sports program during your childhood. So I love it, and that's what we're doing. And we have at the academy 200 students that are living in the academy, coming from 40 different nationalities, which is also unbelievably rich, because you live in an environment as a kid with Indians, Africans, Europeans, Australians, so you have so many different cultures. Fantastic. I love it. So that's what we're doing. So we have those players, and then we do also summer camps for anyone, every age, every level. Right. And we have more than 4,000 people every year who come for us for our camps all year long.
I'm coming too.
So
I love it. It sounds amazing.
For sure. And we do this also for families, because we have a hotel on site. Right. Also, it's huge now, the academy in south of France. We have 34 courts, we have 2 fitness, 4 swimming pools, we have a school, a medical center, a hotel, 155 rooms, 4 stars, we have seminar rooms, spa, we have also a building with apartments, so it's incredible. Like literally a tennis city.
Yeah, it's a tennis city.
And amazing. So anyone who loves tennis, any age, every level, there is something for you guys. So that's what we're doing, and as a passionate about tennis, I cannot be happier.
Absolutely. Well, I promise you, next time I'm in your neighborhood, I'll drop by and have a look. That sounds amazing there. But since we maybe got another sort of, few minutes left here before I let you get back to the court, so to speak, in a true sense, let's talk UTS. You started this tournament, or let's call it competition, last year, obviously during COVID, when the world shut down, players couldn't play. They were earning a living, and you came up with not just a tournament to get players back on the court, but you also really changed the rules, and you had a completely different vision there for what you were doing. I'm assuming, and I'm not sure whether that's correct. Did you host the tournament in your academy, or where were you playing at the time?
Yes, we did. We did.
Okay, that's what I recall seeing it. Right, it came from Nice. So as I said, if you have 5 minutes here, can we do a quick one on what's your big vision here, and really what you see as you're changing, which could be potentially, elevated into many other areas of the sport?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Marcos, for allowing me to talk about that, because it's a subject that is very dear to me. You know how much I love tennis, and I think I have a lot of flaws, but nobody can say that I don't love tennis. I think it would be really unfair.
I can tell, yes.
And when I realized that our sport was potentially in danger, I took the decision to do something for it. I'm going to explain that, because tennis looks like it's doing great, but apparently it does, but it doesn't. Why? Simply because, all the sports are in a difficult situation at the moment for 2 reasons. For one main reason, actually, which is the revolution of the digital and its consequences.
Correct.
So if you go back to the 80s, where tennis was big, it was one of the 2 biggest sports on the planet with soccer. It was so successful. There were only 3 tennis channels. No video games, no social medias, no streaming platforms, only 3 television channels. So it was easy in a way. There was no competition. Today, there is everything I've just named. So social medias, video games, esports, streaming platforms. So when you have 1 hour in front of you, you can decide to watch tennis, but there are a million of other possibilities, not to name all the other sports.
Absolutely.
So the competition is extremely strong. That's one thing.
Yes.
Second thing, the digital revolution has changed the way people consume.
Yes.
And I would say that people who are under 40 years old consume contents that have 4 different characteristics. Those first characteristics, those contents are short. And if you look at the series, they're competing really hard with movies, who are in trouble, because movies are too long, series are short. Social media is short. A video game, if you want to, you make it short also. So all those contents are short.
Yes.
They're super dynamic. Why dynamic? Because of the offer that is so huge. if you have a slow content, people get bored very fast and they switch to something else. So it has to be short, dynamic, authentic, and immersive.
Right.
Tennis is very long. It's very slow.
Yes.
When I say slow, the percentage of time when the ball is in play is less than 20% of the time, which means that 80% of the times you see people doing their routines, players doing their routines. So it's very slow. It's not immersive, and it's non-authentic. I know people who love tennis will jump out of their chair when I say that, but I can explain that in the 80s, it was very authentic.
Right.
Today, it's not authentic. The code of conduct is so hard that players don't dare being themselves.
Right.
And what happened on the court translates to out of the court, where they're all competing to pretend that they're the nicest guy, the most polite, the more sportsmanship on the planet. And in a way, you don't see personalities anymore, except one or two.
You don't have the Jimmy Connors and John McEnroes anymore.
Exactly. There's one that is named Kyrgios, which is the only one who accepts to pay millions of dollars of fines every year. Yeah. But one out of 100 probably. So you don't have this authenticity on the court. So we don't tick any of the boxes that makes a sports league successful. Consequence, very easy. The fan base of tennis remains the same as the one which fell in love in tennis in the 80s. And those people age. They're 61 years old average now. Yeah. So which means that they will disappear, and tennis doesn't renew its fan base. So tennis is in danger in the future. Right. So considering that, I thought, okay, I don't want to change tennis. First, because I love tennis. Second, because there are still 1 billion fans over the world that love tennis the way it is. And those fans are aging, but they're still here. And we still have to provide the same quality content. So, but why don't I create a second league, which would be completely different, with the goal to bring new fans on board and younger fans on board.
Right. Okay.
And that's UTS.
Right.
And the idea about UTS is this idea. If I had to create tennis today, knowing what I know about how people consume, how would I do it?
Right.
And we have created a league that is short, dynamic, immersive, and authentic.
Right. Yeah, the players wear some microphones, right? Even in between,
yeah.
I see, right? When you're sitting on the exchange or whatever, right? They got some, they're mic'd up and they can talk or give comments, right? I've seen some of this.
Yeah, we totally revisited the whole experience of tennis.
I love it.
It's the time decides when the match is over. So it's 4 quarters of 8 minutes a match.
Okay.
When the players are reaching, if they are 2 quarters each, then we play sudden death, which is unbelievable. Unbelievably stressful. Right. We count the points very simply. So I win a point, I have 1 point, because I think this counting of points in tennis is complicated for non-fans, right. And we want to bring new fans on board. So it's very dynamic because we shorten the time between the points, and also the coaches are allowed to coach between every point, and everybody's mic'd up. So we hear what they say, which is also immersive,
very cool,
and authentic. At every changeover, as you said, the players are interviewed. So we ask them about what the quarter before, what was the strategies. So we get into understanding the strategies of the players. And also we learn about what they're going to do in the future, in the next quarter. So they have cards. Cards, they have advantage. For example, they can have an extra card that gives them the opportunity to win 3 points if they win the next point.
Yeah, you call power card or something, right? Power up card.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's cool.
So this is fun.
You can even, I think you can take away the second serve of a player or something like that, right? Of your opponent with a card, or I remember.
So you are right. This was the first season of UTS, but second season we changed it because we decided that all the players will have only 1 serve, because we don't want to see too many aces and unreturned serve, because I know people love to see rallies.
Okay.
So it's only 1 serve, but the card can give you an extra serves.
Ah, right, the other way around. Got it.
So, yeah, exactly.
I love that.
So we completely revisited it, and everything that everyone told me it's impossible. Everyone told me players will never accept to do an interview at a changeover. Right. Players will never accept to have only 1 serve, etc. They accepted everything, and they love it.
Right.
So just to say that we started last year in the middle of the pandemic, and the first edition of UTS, we already were broadcasted in more than 100 countries around the world.
Amazing.
20 million people watched it. over the world. We had 7 out of the 10 of the 10 top 10s who played in UTS, which is amazing. So a great lineup of players. They all loved it. They all asked to play again. I had to, unfortunately, refuse some great ones because, we have only 10 players at every showdown. So I think the proof of concept has been made. I mean, after 1 year, we have already 700,000 followers on Facebook. And I mean, when I see how fast this grows, we will reach probably 2 to 3 million at the end of this year, which is incredible. We have a growth that is extremely fast. We created our own OTT platform where we have more than 100,000 people who are
registered,
connected, subscribers to our platform. And I just want to tell you about the plan for next year.
Please.
So the plan for next year, so we're into a capital raise at the moment. We're raising 50 million euros to go to the next level next year with the goal to do like Formula One. So I want to have only 10 events per year. I don't want to have like 3 events every week, which I think is much too much. So 10 events is perfect because I want every event to be special. Now we're gonna tell cities, okay, if you want to be part of UTS, because we're gonna go to cities, we can do something really special for you, and we can highlight the most important place of your city, the place you want to show to the world. So we can play on the top of a building, we can play in front of a monument, we can play on the sea.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Yep.
But we want to highlight the place that is like the most representative of each city that they want to, and then we got to play in front of that and show that to the entire world during the event, because when you play in front of the event with a view on the event, it's unbelievable. But it's like very much like video game style. That's what we want to do.
Right.
I want to play with the only 10 same players all year long, because I want to choose them. I want to choose the most exciting ones, the ones who have the greatest games, but also the greatest personalities that are so exciting to watch. And I want to, like Formula One, have a race all year long between those 10 guys who are going to play against each other 10 times to know at the end of the year who's going to be the world champion at UTS, which is a different effort from ATP. And why not at the end of the year have the champion, UTS champion, play against the ATP champion with the UTS rules? That would be really incredible. Nice. So that's the plan for next year, and I think we can completely revolutionize tennis, keeping the classical tennis for the classical fans who are very conservative, and that's great. And I'm one of those. I'm not ashamed to say that I really love tennis the way it is, but I think it's also exciting to have a league that is able to bring new fans on board, which we are able to do, because 50% of the fans of UTS are not tennis fans, and the average age is 40 compared to 61 for tennis. So we're very excited to continue this journey.
Patrick, amazing. I love it. And we just about squeezed all of that in here in our hour. And I want to talk with you some more about it. I think there's some ideas I have for you. We've created similar concept like this in other sports, but with the same idea of taking things to a beautiful location and really showcasing and bringing the pieces together. So I have a couple of thoughts there for you, but I know you have someone there waiting for you, which is very important, getting ready for Wimbledon. So Patrick, thank you so much for your time. I loved it. It was amazing conversation here, and I'm pretty certain we'll talk some more soon. And please send my regards to Ms. Serena Williams.
Thank you very much again for the invitation, Marcus. I had a great time, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to express myself, which I didn't do enough in my early years. So I have time I have to catch up with that.
Absolutely. You did a great job there, and I love the story. So thank you so much, and have a great day there at training. Talk soon.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
The Sports Entrepreneurs by Marcos Baghdatis podcasts are a collection of interviews and stories. All content in this podcast is the copyright of Marcos Baghdatis. Reproduction and distribution of the presentation without written permission of the owner is prohibited. All rights reserved.